Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I haven't sat down to film anything in so long, but I'm excited for the video that I have planned out today. Today I'm going to be reviewing more movies that I've watched recently. And the topic for today's video is going to be pride and pain. So as usual, a majority of these movies will have to do with those themes along with their main ideas, of course, but those are themes that I've chosen for today. Also, I'm reading from my computer because that's where I typed out all the notes for the movie. So if I'm looking down, that's why. And I'm gonna keep the spoilers to a minimum, but there's gonna be some spoilers. So let's get started with the first movie.
Just like that? Listen to me, kid. If she doesn't reach over and lift up that button for you so you can get in, that means she's a selfish broad, and all you're seeing is the tip of the iceberg. You dump her, and you dump her fast.
Okay, so up first we have A Bronx Tale. This movie follows a young Italian-American boy named Calogero who lives with his mother and father in the Bronx. This movie is based around the storyline that Calogero finds himself split in between morals. The time period of the movie is important too, as it takes place during a time of racial tension in the 1960s. On one side, the values of honesty and hard work are instilled in Calogero by his father, Lorenzo. Lorenzo is a bus driver and is straightforward in how he defines the line between good and bad. He finds value in showing up daily for his community as a bus driver who contributes honest work. On the other side, Calogero finds himself entangled in street life under a mobster named Sonny. Sonny is well known and well respected throughout his area. He calls the shots and gets his hands dirty whenever he deems necessary. He also keeps himself visible and available to the public so that those in his community feel safe and protected. Although he ensures that those closest to him feel safe, he also establishes just enough fear so that people think twice before crossing him. As he takes Calogero under his wing, Calogero finds Sonny's values of loyalty, status, and public optics to weigh heavily on his shoulders. As Calogero is pulled between the morals of his father and of Sonny, there's third force at play, and that third force being his heart. He finds himself crushing on an African-American girl named Jane. Jane is kind and confident. It can be seen that Calogero is attracted to Jane's strong sense of self, as he himself is at a weak point in learning who he is. With who Jane is, she has a natural and unspoken way of encouraging Calogero to be better. With Jane, he's able to release from societal pressures, and he's able to release from this moral dilemma that he's having in terms of choosing the man that he wants to become. He doesn't have to think about the man that he wants to become. He just simply is when he is with her. He's free to be present. So on the topic of pride, it's important to consider Calogero's father, Lorenzo. As Lorenzo watches his son grow, he battles internally with deciding when and how to relinquish control and allow his son to make his own decisions. There's a pride that he has when it comes to admitting that Sonny is also teaching Calogero some valuable lessons. Those valuable lessons are being taught in a questionable way, from a questionable source, but they're still valuable lessons.
You know, and I jog and I meditate and I go to work in the morning and I come home at the end of the day and I move forward, you know, because I know that my pain is unexceptional, so I don't feel the need to burden everybody with it, you know?
Yeah.
In A Real Pain, two cousins named Benji and David, who grew up close together as kids but no longer see each other often, reunite for a trip to Poland after the passing of their grandmother. Their grandmother, who was a late Holocaust survivor, had sponsored this trip for them to learn about their Jewish heritage. To talk about Benji's characteristics a bit, Benji is loud, free-spirited, and wears his emotions on his sleeve. He has an extroverted charm about him that makes people engage to him and him to them. However, he's not well received by everyone on their guided tour group in Poland. His actions, though sometimes friendly and charming, are also rude and inconsiderate. David, on the other hand, is more reserved, family-oriented, and emotionally aware of those around him. He values order, structure, and plays by the rules. Given the situation, his close proximity to Benji, David is forced into a role of being the responsible one. He picks up the broken pieces that are left in Benji's wake. Benji's presence does cause David to confront emotions that he would typically suppress. The film showcases how two contrasting family members deal with real pain in very real yet different ways. Benji is emotionally expressive regardless of the time or place. David internalizes his grief and subdues his emotions in general, but even more so around his cousin. He does this at an attempt to provide stability for himself as he is subjected to Benji's unpredictability and his emotional outbursts. The culmination and weight of this emotional responsibility on David reaches its limit in what I believe to be one of the best monologues in film, the dinner scene. I won't spoil exactly what leads up to this moment, but in the dinner scene, David begins his monologue by acknowledging his restraint on expressing his emotions. He then goes into describing his nuanced feelings towards Benji. He loves his cousin and wants so much for him, but is envious of Benji's charisma and is frustrated with being overshadowed by it. Jesse Eisenberg's acting is realistic and layered here in that it shows a range of David's emotions. He starts with self-deprecation, then moves to compassion, to frustration, onto confusion and distress.
Do not cross the Rubicon.
Alea jacta est.
The Holdovers. The Holdovers is a modern-day classic, and it's one of my favorites. This comedic drama takes place at an all-boys prep school in New England during the December of 1970. It follows a grumpy and disliked teacher named Paul Hunnam, who is forced to stay on campus to supervise the students who have nowhere to go for Christmas break. Hence the name of the movie, The Holdovers. He ends up forming an unexpected bond with a smart and tough student named Angus Tully. The two of them also connect with the head cook at the prep school, Mary Lamb, a grieving woman who has just lost her son in the Vietnam War. Pain as a unifier. As the three individuals grow closer to one another, they're confronted with their own individual forms of pain. Mary is going through the devastating pain of loss. Paul is going through the under-the-radar pain of loneliness and regret. And Angus, the dazed pain of abandonment. As they go through this holiday break, time is slowed in that they now have the chance to really see each other for the first time. There are no interruptions from the mundane ignorance that everyday life can offer. As their empathy for one another grows, so does their ability to heal from their personal pain. Cinematography. As soon as the movie starts, from the opening credits to the ending, the visual style of The Holdovers remains the same. Although the movie was filmed digitally, it was graded and textured to mimic a 1970s 35mm film stock look. It's successful in achieving an authentic vintage look through its color grading and soft contrasts. The framing of the film, coupled with the acting of the characters, takes their conveyed emotions a step further. Characters are often framed with static shots and strategic space around them, reinforcing when they are feeling isolated, lonely, seen, or comforted. Certain scenes have wintry and icy color palettes, but as the film takes place during Christmas time, that holiday break nostalgia is perfectly and warmly captured.
You complain about the life that you chose. You're not a victim. Not at all. Your generosity conceals something dirtier and meaner.
This psychological legal drama explores themes of truth, perception, and the complexities of relationships. A successful German writer named Sandra is put on trial as a suspect for her husband's death after he falls from a window in their remote home. The only potential witness to what may or may not have happened is their visually impaired son, Daniel. This is my second time watching Sandra Hüller's acting in a film, the first being The Zone of Interest, and her acting in this is just as, if not more, phenomenal. In the movie, Sandra is articulate and sharp in how she navigates conflict and confrontation. Her personality in general, and especially when she is on trial, is one that is assertively composed. Her public vulnerability remains suited, and her private displays of emotion are mostly guarded. The emotional elusiveness of her character leave those in the film and in the audience unsure of her true feelings and motives with the situation at hand. Complex relationships. Sandra was in a strained marriage with her husband, Samuel, one that evolved into bitterness, envy, and resentment on both sides. Samuel envies his wife's success and blames her for his shortcomings. Sandra is aware that their son gravitates more towards his father. Her love for Daniel is apparent, yet distant. Throughout the trial, she allows Daniel to make his own judgment on her innocence. Weaponized intelligence. As the courtroom learns more of Sandra and her personality, Her intelligence and composure quickly shift to being used against her. Her reserved displays of emotion put her credibility as a mother and wife under scrutiny. She's made out to be seen as cold and manipulative. Her success as a writer is also weaponized against her as the prosecutor searches her fictional writing for personal truths. Sandra's defining moment. As Sandra finds herself at this crossroad, she chooses to remain the same. She doesn't put on a new persona when she enters the courtroom. Instead, she relies on her intellectualism as her whole life is dissected on display.
What are you telling me?
For juror number 2, I'm going to keep the whole thing short because I don't want to spoil this movie. So this one is another legal drama that follows a man named Justin Kemp. He's a married journalist with his first child on the way. He is summoned for jury duty on a high-profile murder case. And as a juror, Justin is very quickly faced with a moral dilemma. Yeah, and that's pretty much all I can say about the premise of the movie without spoiling anything. If you eventually do watch the movie, I recommend not watching the trailer and just going for it. I will say that the movie isn't visually exciting, but it is definitely a thought-provoking conversation starter. Okay, let's talk about Flo. So the main character of Flo is a cat. This is an animated movie with no dialogue, by the way. This gray cat likes to stay on its own. However, when a massive flood wrecks its home, Cat is forced to find refuge elsewhere. He finds himself on a boat with several other animals with various temperaments who have been displaced from their homes. As they navigate through submerged forests, these animals learn to work together as a team in their search for dry land. At first, this gray cat keeps to himself and is easily frightened and annoyed by other animals on the boat. But his curiosity and perceptiveness are critical as he experiences his new environment and relationships with the other animals. Flo won the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature Film. Its stylistic choices and delivery of its existential themes play a role in its success and nominations. The character traits of each animal parallels to that of humans, making it easy for the audience to connect to the film. The Golden Labrador Retriever is friendly, playful, and positive. It adds both comic relief and emotional support for the cat. The capybara is the calm leader of the pack. It spends most of the time in the movie sleeping, rescuing others, and keeping the peace on the boat. The lemur in this movie is an animal who likes to collect. It's portrayed as very materialistic and shallow. I don't know if that's a common theme for a lemur. What was that animal in Madagascar? Was that a lemur or was that a meerkat? But they're just seen as like materialistic and they like their items and they like wealth and status and power. That's basically how the lemur was projected in this movie. Another main animal is the secretary bird, who is authoritative and territorial, but experiences a shift in its character where it becomes a crucial part of the team. I think Flo is a good movie reminder of what can happen when humanity works together. The Substance. The Substance follows an aerobic show host named Elizabeth Sparkle, who has just been fired from her job due to her age. As she is processing her distress, she takes a recommended injection in hopes of transforming into a younger and quote-unquote better version of herself. The movie is gory, up close, and personal as it explores themes of beauty standards and ageism, specifically for women in entertainment. After Elizabeth takes the injection, her body produces a younger version of itself, named Sue. As the two rotate coexisting in the same world, it sets Elizabeth up for a gruesome internal battle and resentment towards herself. Sue achieves even greater success in the Hollywood industry than Elizabeth. This contrast in treatment and attention from others makes Elizabeth susceptible to a deep amount of self-loathing. Demi Moore's performance as Elizabeth brought a comedic force of anger to this film that increased the tempo of the movie when it needed to. My minor critique with the movie is that it brings up topics but doesn't dive deeper or develop them through dialogue or other methods. For example, there's a point in the movie when Elizabeth rushes into a cafe and recognizes the older version of her doctor. She realizes that he too has taken the substance and is experiencing similar effects from the experiment. His body language speaks to the duality of greed between the older and the younger self. But Elizabeth runs out of the cafe before the thoughts behind his quick glance can even marinate. The movie speaks to the attack on beauty within the TV industry from all ends, including from the actress upon herself. I was hoping the movie would take a different turn at some points, but it seems that the director's main priority was to hit the nail on the head on the topics of ageism, beauty standards, and insecurity. Okay guys, that is going to be the end of this movie analysis. Let me know what you thought about this group of movies and if you have any recommendations on movies that you think I should watch and possibly review. That's a wrap for this one, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!